All right, welcoming to the show. It is David Wise. David, we are super excited to talk to you. I have been wanting to go down the flat Earth rabbit hole for a long time now. I have a very open position on our reality and an expanding reality. That's what we do. We talk about ideas, and I'm really, really looking forward to talking to the guy about it. We could not have gotten a better representative. So thank you very much for your
Well,
time. So,
that's
David,
that.
for the folks out here,
Good, good.
no, go ahead. No,
No, I'd
I
say
was
that's
just going
very
to say,
kind of you. There are plenty of other people out there that can do what I do. I just do it full time. I quit my job to do this because this is the most important message of our time. So,
It's
um,
interesting, and I do want to ask why you feel that way. But for the folks out here that aren't familiar with your work yet, man, please just let us know who you are.
my name's David Weiss. Long story short, I was just a regular businessman and doing a little podcast for fun. Came across flat Earth, went in kicking and screaming, trying to disprove it. And that's how you become a flat earther once you actually look at the ridiculousness of the heliocentric model and you dispel all of your beliefs on what flat Earth is, because our minds are programmed to make us think, this is flat Earth. That's not flat Earth. They want you to think that, so you dismiss it and never look at it. So that's who I am. I'm here. I live on the East Coast in the USA, and I am spreading this most important word, this most important message, and we'll get into it after we get through some of the details. And I'll tell you why the lie, because it goes like this. People say, well, what about do you think the other planets are flat? Do you think how does the sun set over the ocean? What about seasons? What about Aristophanes with his sticks and shadows? What about boats over the horizon? And then after we get through all of that, people throw up their hands and they go, well, what difference does it make? I still have to go to work tomorrow.
Yep.
And we'll cover all of that.
I love it, man. And like I said, your breakdowns on this, because you do the Flat Earth podcast, and I've listened to quite a few of your episodes, man. And like I said, Matt, I live in North Texas. I'm just 45 minutes west of Fort Worth here, so we're right here.
Nice.
So yeah, so we're pretty connected here on that front as well. So what got you personally into investigating the idea that the Earth is flat?
Oh, I didn't. I was doing a conspiracy podcast, just looking into all of the deceptions that I'm sure everyone that's listening is aware of. The thing in New York and Boston and Connecticut and all of these other things. And then people started sending me, "Hey, Dave, have you looked into flat Earth?" And I just deleted them. I'm like, that's a joke. And then they kept posting on our social media, and I banned them for life. No chance of parole. And then another researcher who I highly respect said, "Dave, I think the Earth might be flat." And I was like, "Oh, Jesus, Sophia, are you kidding me?" And she goes, "Here, watch this." And she sent me Mark Sargent's Clues and Eric Dubay's 200 Proofs. And I watched them reluctantly, and I said, "Holy crap, there's something here." And for 2 weeks, I didn't sleep. I slept like 2 hours, for the whole 2 weeks. And I didn't try to prove it. I tried to disprove flat Earth, and I tried to prove the globe. And that's when, once you try to prove the globe, it's there's no coming back. So, for example, I mean, we'll just assume that you believe the Earth is a spinning ball, because that's what we've all been taught. Do you know how fast that spinning ball is spinning?
In like 1,000 miles an hour, or 900 miles an hour.
Very good. Most people don't even know that. At the equator, the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. That's faster than the speed of sound. So when you're watching the sunset, you believe you're falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound. And that's why the sun is appearing to go down. You're orbiting, speeding up and slowing down, averaging 66,600 miles an hour, orbiting the sun, chasing the sun at over 500,000 miles an hour, while that entire system's moving sideways at over 1,000,000 miles per hour. Okay? But somehow, if you go outside and look around, there's lakes that are perfectly calm, mirrored reflections of the sky. How is that possible when you're moving in all of these directions? And these aren't linear. These are curves. And when you curve, you're accelerating. I challenge people to get a dinner plate, fill it to the brim with water, and then walk in a circle around your living room. See how well you do. And that's just one motion, and very slow too. So once I realized, okay, that's crazy, I started looking into what the flat Earth is. And as I showed you before, those images, if you Google flat Earth, you end up with images of a disk floating in space. You end up with a solar system with ball planets and a pancake Earth in there, which is just mockery, because no flat earther believes that. If I could find that picture, there it is. This one comes up. These pictures come from the Flat Earth Society. And the Flat Earth Society is a government-run disinformation site that Obama plugged a half a dozen times in his speeches when he was president. Nobody believes this. Nobody believes that there's disk planets, round planets, Earth is a pancake. Nobody believes any of that. So if that's not the case, what is the Earth? So I call it the world lake. What is a lake? A lake is just a body of water where the water accumulates in the land in the low spot. The edge of the lake is where the land is higher than the water surface, right?
Yeah.
If you were sailing a boat in a lake, a big lake, and you got to the edge of the lake, could you fall off the lake?
No, you just run ashore.
You run ashore, right? So the world pond, the world lake is a giant lake, and it's got these islands that we call continents. They're all surrounded by water, but the water needs a container, just like the lake needs a container. Because if you got rid of the shoreline of the water will just flow out. Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. Antarctica is the shoreline of our world. What's out here in the outer space of Antarctica? Nobody knows. Well, no civilian knows because it's off limits until the year 2041. And by then they'll just kick the can down the road another 60 years.
You know, this is my question, right? Because this is one of my favorite ideas. So let's say that you just are going to believe the things that people who've been lying to you your entire life, your government, NASA, of course, it stands for never a straight answer. And we all know that.
Not a space agency.
It's interesting how, and yeah, right. And I do want to talk about the distrust in NASA and why folks question that here in a little bit. I've got some examples, and I'm sure you're familiar with all of these. But one of my favorite ideas, and of course, even Admiral Byrd, when he talked about going down to the South Pole, researching for high jump and all of that, he talked about a landmass larger than the United States beyond that had been yet unexplored by mankind. And even scientists will tell you, oh, there's anomalous geothermal spots out there where there's green grass, there's freshwater lakes, there's habitable areas that are warm. And so this is one of my favorite thought experiments on the concept of a flat earth or an infinite plane. And I want to kind of dial down here in a minute. Again, I've got just a ton of questions for you, man. I'm, like I said, really excited to talk to you. So the idea that there's land masses beyond that and possibly other civilizations, and that we live on just this one small part of an infinite plane with multiple land masses, multiple civilizations, if you follow the Earth model. And so I had that question as well. If our Earth is this spinning thing that's concentrated to our lake, yes, that map there. So now I've got to point out to our audio only audience that David has provided a bunch of really cool slides. You're actually the first guest to provide slides, so thank you. Go to the YouTube version of this, guys, and all of that will be linked in the show notes, and you can check out his slides. He does a wonderful job. You're very professional with this. So with that model where you've got the sun and the moon system, set, and Anubis there, I love it. And then you've got a bowl on the outside there with, it looks like at least two suns out there and a moon going around. It's an interesting visual representation of such a really, really cool idea. So walk us through this concept of flat Earth.
Yeah. So, once you understand how the sun and the moon work and what they are, that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But they circle around over our lake. And the reason that you can't see the sun, I have some video stuff that I can show you. It's just because it's too far away. It's like, you ever been to Las Vegas?
Yes.
So in some of the hotels, their hallways are so long that if you're at one end of the hallway and look at the other, the ceiling touches the floor. It's the way your eye sees it. And that's just a hallway in Vegas. Okay. So now, think of our flat earth as just a giant room, and the lights in the ceiling are the stars. And we have different layers. We have the atmospheric layer. We have the cloud deck. And that cloud deck, if you go outside, and then I'll get back into this. And you look into, there's spotted clouds, like on a nice deck. We have the spotted clouds. The ones over your head are right over your head, 5,000 feet in the air, whatever the height is. And then if you look out over like the water or just, in Kansas, flat land or whatever, or Texas, it's pretty flat there, right?
A little bit, yeah.
20, 30 miles away, those clouds are touching the ground. They merge into the ground. It's how perspective works. It's how your eyes work. And they're really still 5,000 feet in the sky. So when you have something above them, a sun, and you have this cloud deck, the atmospheric deck, as the sun just goes away, it sets behind that cloud deck. But your eye sees that cloud deck at eye level, right? That cloud deck literally merges together. So the sun just goes beyond it and appears to set. I'll show you that in a few minutes. But so the sun goes around here. some people believe I did a talk, and if you look on my YouTube channel, look for the video with Sophia Smallstorm, the one that got me into this, called The Outward Flow of Civilizations. Life started in the north. The sun circled around, oscillating in and out between the two tropics, melting out our pond. And perhaps maybe it was all ice at the beginning beyond here, and it was just our world going around. And then one day, instead of oscillating in between the two tropics, it said, hey, I'm going out here now, right? What would that do? Well, Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. There's like 200 plus feet of ice on most of it, or lots of it. It would melt all of this, and we'd have a massive flood here, massive mud flood. If you know anything about mud floods.
Yeah, Tartaria.
Yeah. So now all of the civilizations here, they'd be freezing in here, and it would be a mess. They'd all migrate outwards, the outward flow of civilizations, the Mayas, the Incas, all of them. Maybe they're all living out here in the extra territory. And then a new sun is born here under a star, right? Right? I think it sounds a little biblical, right? The only star that you can follow and not walk in circles is the North Star, because it never moves. Well, maybe the sun is born in the north out of the Earth system, and a new sun is in here. And now all of the people that are living in here, the sun rises, it's been dark, it's been cold, wet, frozen, and all of a sudden a new sun is born. What are you going to say? You're going to look up and you're going to go, my savior.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's so many similarities in this. And I'm not taking away from religion. I think that all of these stories that we have in religion are about the star system. And I'm not saying that these religious figures didn't exist. I think they did. I think they all did, because I think that our souls come from the stars. The stars are souls, and the sun is maybe the soul of God. Interesting, right?
It is interesting. But I do like how it's tied in that way, and it's no more ridiculous than saying that gas and dust and heat formed and coalesced to then form a sun in our space.
Wait a minute, that's not even fair to compare how ridiculous the heliocentric model is. Nothing exploded and created everything, and then all of the rocks and dirt coalesced into spinning balls, and all of the gases turned into bigger balls, leaving a vacuum in between. Every single thing I said there is scientifically impossible. A gas ball vacuum burning in a vacuum, a gas ball burning in a vacuum. I don't care if you want to see nuclear fusion, whatever. It's all made up nonsense. And we can prove that the sun at just 3 times the distance that it is, according to the size it is, I say less than 3 times, but we'll go 3 times, or not 3 times, 3 light hours away. The sun is 3 light minutes away. I say if it was literally a light hour away, you couldn't see it, but we'll make it 3 light hours. It would get so small, right? You got a big sun, move it away, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. When does it disappear? Okay. And if the sun disappears, we can prove it, because its angular size would be smaller than our eye could resolve. At 3 light hours, how is it that we're seeing stars at light years away? Hundreds of light years. Okay. Polaris, for example, is 46 times bigger than the sun. So we'll call that, we'll round up to 48, which is, if we say 3 light hours times 2 light days, so that's 6 light days away. If Polaris was 6 light days away, we couldn't see it. It would be too small. It's 433 light years away. It's 433, right? It's 433 light years away, and we couldn't see it at 6 light hours away. All of it is just complete and total turns your mind into jelly.
And we'll get into why here in a minute, because I that's a big question, right? But I don't want to touch on that yet. So what do you think is the most compelling evidence that this is the way that it is? I mean, is it just common sense or rational thought, or just looking at
there's a lot of things. Yeah, there's a lot of things. Large bodies of water at rest lay flat, period. There is no curvature. We can measure, we can see things too far. Now, sometimes things are hidden. Sometimes they're hidden more on other days, less on certain days. But that all has to do with optics, refraction, and atmospheric density, and mirroring, mirage, and all sorts of stuff. But we can see stuff that should be miles and miles below the curvature. For example, in Aluja, France, there is a viewing spot out over the ocean where Mount Canigou is out here at 175 miles away, but you can't see it because it's 175 miles away. And the top of that mountain from this height, according to globe math, the top of the mountain would be a mile below the physical horizon. Now, you would have to believe that this right here is the physical horizon, but this isn't. This is an optical horizon. And the light bouncing off the mountain isn't strong enough to push through the soup. Just like when you're in a long swimming pool, you can't see the far wall, even though the water is perfectly clear, because the air does the same thing. But there's 2 days a year when the sun is in between, it's migrating between the two tropics, that it lines up with Mount Canigou. And then all of a sudden, when it backlights it, you can see it. And the very top of the mountain should be a mile below the curve, but we can see the entire mountain.
Again, your visuals are great, man. This is fantastic.
This is a very visual thing, because, I could explain these things to you and then you'd have to believe me, but I'm showing you while I'm explaining. And all of these things you can go verify yourself. Unlike anything from NASA, you can't verify any of it. So another way to prove that the sun you can't see the light forever. We're told light travels forever, and that's nonsense. This is a 32-degree, freezing cold, perfectly clear, zero humidity day. I got my drone up as high as I can get it, and I watched the sun. In 5 minutes time, it went from way up and it went down, 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 down. And if the Earth was spinning, it should just keep on going, but it didn't. It went down, 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 and then it stopped right here. Now, my friends at the beach saw the sun set 10 minutes earlier, but mine didn't go down. It sat there for 10 minutes as it super sped up, and it just faded into the thickness. It's still there. You just can't see it. Here it is again. It just faded into the thickness.
Shit.
Yeah. And that's because light traveling for years is nonsense. Okay. Light is like sound. It can only go so far, right? It's stronger. It's brighter, it's just another wave. So that shows you that. But my friends saw the sun set from the bottom up, and that's because 5 miles across the water was land, that the tops of those trees and the height of the land still looked like it was at their eye level because it's so far away. It compresses, and the sun got those trees, and it just went beyond the trees and set. Oops, this way. Right? It sets just due to perspective. Once you understand that, they don't teach that very, much anymore in school. So next question.
Okay, so some of the fundamentals, of course. So we've already gone over the fact that it's a lake, which I love that example. That's a great analogy, man. This is, again, why I'm really excited to talk to you specifically about this. So we've got a sun and a moon system that orbit and oscillate between the tropics around the North Pole. So beyond that, though, there is potentially a second sun, like you were talking about, maybe beyond Antarctica, if it is an ice ring that goes around. Is there a passable way to navigate via water or via boat or something like that to go through Antarctica to get to the next ring?
So the Antarctic Treaty is in place until the year 2041, and nobody is allowed to even question it. So what's beyond Antarctica? We're talking about anything above our heads, above as high as we can get, or the shoreline of Antarctica. We have to speculate. Now, there's lots of stories from the past of people that, lived in Antarctica and people that went beyond to the Iron Republic and all sorts of stuff. And it makes a lot of sense. But again, we can't these are things that we can't verify, just like we can't, verify, anything that NASA does. Yeah. Can I show you? Have you seen my app? Can I show you how a little visual on how the sun works? The sky is a perfect clock. What's that?
Yeah. Oh, I have seen your app. This is in my questions to ask you because it's brilliantly designed. You did a really good job on this. I was going to compliment you on it, but yes, sir, please.
Yeah. So the sky is a perfect clock, and that's impossible in a beehive heliocentric model. And we can go over that in a minute, but the sun goes around once a day. The sun is attached to the hour hand. We're actually in daylight savings time, so I have to put that back on, which is the sun is, come on, there we go. The sun is not attached to the hour hand because they have us in fake time. It's to throw our body clocks off. We are literally part of the Earth system. We can only live here on the Earth. So the sun goes around once a day. If I speed it up, you'll see that it's gaining distance on the moon, and it laps the moon once every 28 days or so. And so the moon keeps track of the weeks and the months. They used to be called moons, now they're called months. And that's how they go. And now they both migrate in between the tropics. Before I show you that, I'll turn on the stars. And the stars travel around just slightly faster than the sun. They lap the sun once a year. So the sun will stay in each zodiac. Right now, we're switching from, like I said, it's that Taurus into this one, and it'll hang out in here for a month. And then Cancer will catch up, the Tropic of Cancer. And we'll talk about that in a second. So, and then a year later, we'll be right back to where we are now. Like you go out tonight and look at the stars at whatever time, make a little star chart, and the next year, same night, same time, go out, look at those stars. They'll be in the exact same position. How do you explain that in a corkscrewing, crazy beehive galaxy? You can't. You can't is the answer. And saying that things are too far away, so far away that all of the billions and billions of miles that we travel don't make a difference. Well, I just proved to you that we can't see a star 6 light hours away. And the closest star is 4.5 light years away. So the seasons, the inner yellow line is the Tropic of Cancer. And we're almost there right now. The outer yellow line is the Tropic of Capricorn. Where do you live? In the States?
Yeah, in Texas.
You're in Texas. So it's pretty darn warm there right now. And that's because the sun is approaching. It's coming towards the inner northern states. I'm going to jump forward to June. So this is the summer solstice, and in June, the sun is directly over the Tropic of Cancer. So as it comes around to the United States, you'll see that it's going to go right over Miami, Florida. It's friggin' hot in Miami in June. That's because the sun is high over your head, above you, direct heat, close to you. And then if you look over at Australia up here, Australia is in the depth of their winter. Now, they don't get that cold because they're not that far out of the tropics. So they're having their winter, but if I jump forward 6 months, we're in the middle of our winter and they're in the heat of their summer because the sun is directly over them, right? Imagine you and I were sitting outside 50, well, you've been in snow. You live in Texas. Have you always been there?
Oh, yeah, we just got snowvid a couple of weeks ago, or about a month ago, where it just went and trashed the whole state, man.
Yeah, I knew about that. So if two people are sitting outside 15 feet apart and it's freezing cold outside, freezing. So you're sitting there freezing. And then I showed up 10 and hold over you, 10 feet over you, a big giant super heat lamp. You'd be warm because the heat would be right over you, and your buddy, and it would be high above you. Your buddy would be looking at it and it would be lower. It would be over. He wouldn't have to look up as high and he'd be cold. Maybe he could feel a little bit of the heat, but he's cold. And if I move that over to him, now he's having his summer. You're having your winter. Your sun is lower in the sky. His sun is higher in the sky. It's just because, when you look at a cloud over your head or a cloud over there, it's the same thing. An airplane over your head, an airplane over there, same height. It's lower in the sky. It's exactly how the seasons work.
So I'm interested in. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Ask a question.
Why the toilet flush the other way?
They don't. That's a myth. It's nonsense. I have toilets in my house that spin in different directions. It's just the direction that the water goes into the basin, and all of that is a lie. There's scammers at the equator that have these sinks and everything. They go, look, we're 10 feet on one side of the equator, and they pour water in. It's just the way they pour the water in, just a little bit to the left of the drain or a little bit to the right of the drain.
Charlatans.
Complete and total nonsense. So real quick, and then I'll jump out of the app. Every day I add a featured video because if you Google flat Earth, you're going to end up with garbage. You're not going to end up with anything. You're going to give up and you're going to go, oh my God. And they're going to capture your mind with all of their shill and troll videos. They have paid shills making videos every day, disinformation, all sorts of stuff. And so what I do is I bypass all those algorithms. Every day there's a new featured video. I say, just watch the video every day for 2 weeks. And if you still think the Earth is a ball, I will give you a Bitcoin if you can send me one proof. But before you do, you have to hit the question mark, and up comes all of the questions that you're going to ask. What about eclipses? Are all space agencies in on it? Southern flights. If I hit Southern flights, up comes a playlist of videos that Google will not serve you. These are videos that you won't easily find, or probably won't find, that will show you how Southern flights work. The app does a whole bunch of other things, but we'll talk about that in a little bit if you want.
Absolutely. Now, one thing that I did want to ask you about was the flight paths. So that's on my
Yeah.
list of stuff to ask you because this is one of the ones that whenever I started researching this, because I a lot like you when I started into it was like, this is horseshit. I got to debunk this thing. And but again, I'm open to possibilities. I'm fine with it. But I did spend about 3 weeks, and I would tell my wife, dude, check out these flight paths, and that was a big one. And I asked her right
Yeah.
before I came on if there was anything she wanted me to ask you, and there were two things, and one of them was flight paths. So we share that.
Yeah. So here is um what are we, Buenos Aires, big city, and in South America, and Cape Town. And this would be the shortest flight, 4,276 miles, curving over the ball. But that's not where they go. They go all the way up to Amsterdam or another place up here in the north, and then all the way back down. It takes 29 hours. Okay. And why do they do that? Because, and you should see that on a ball, like on a ball, they go all the way up to here and then all the way back down. All right. It's insanity.
This was
Um,
one of the things that I find so compelling are the flight
well,
paths.
this is it. Here's again, Perth to Buenos Aires. FlightAware says this is the shortest path. And if you don't, people use the term the Great Circle Route. The Great Circle Route, what does that mean? Right? It doesn't mean that you go up like this over the ball, because this line, like this is a curved line. You see that? It's curved. If you look at it, it's curved, but you're seeing it straight. So this is a great circle route. When you see these lines. So you're not allowed to fly over Antarctica because of the Antarctic Treaty, so you'd have to fly around it. That would be the shortest trip, either side, right? But the real flight path this is one of my favorites. It goes from Buenos Aires to either Miami or Houston. Then it stops in California. Then it stops in Sydney, and then it goes across. And that takes like 26 hours again, right? Or it goes from here to Europe to Singapore to Perth, okay? Why don't they just cut across the bottom of the ball? And you know the answer, because
Yeah.
we don't live on a ball.
I mean, it's fascinating, man. This is again one of my favorite things to think about. It's one of my favorite thought experiments to go down because it is so compelling, and especially when you talk to somebody credible like you, like a lot of, and unfortunately, man, just like in the UFO community, something I wanted to talk to you about because I'm pretty entrenched in that. You'll have disinformation agents. I know that people have come out and
Sure.
said, "Look, we were paid by the CIA to go and infiltrate your group and discredit it." And of course, Flat Earth Society, that's a big one, and we all know that. So
Right.
but it's what's interesting is why are they discrediting things if they're not true, or to in their mind if they don't need to discredit them? It doesn't make any sense why they're so adamant about proving this wrong,
If you wanted to
or
prove the Earth
securing
is
data.
a, am I talking on mute? No, I'm good. If you want to prove the Earth is a ball, it could be done in one day and for not that much money. You get two airplanes. You go to Antarctica, and one airplane flies this way, and the other airplane flies this way, and you follow the coast. Okay, very easy. Airplanes go, it's 13,000 miles around. That's what they tell us. So 7,000 miles would take 14 hours, and the two airplanes would meet on the opposite side. Sounds legit, right? But
Yeah.
that's not how the world is set up, and they can't do it. They've tried it in, or two boats do the same thing, sail around it. Captain Cook was the last one to try to sail around Antarctica. It took him 3.5 years, and he went over 60,000 miles. Okay, if the equator is only 24,000 miles and it goes right around here, this should be much smaller. They should help tell us this should be 13,000 miles because it's at the bottom of the ball. But he went over 60,000 miles. Now you're going to look up, oh, what about the sailboat race, the so and so race? Well, they're using GPS. They go, they go. I don't even know if they go south of Australia, but they go. They don't go beyond 60 degrees south. They go, like 50 degrees south, and it takes them a good amount of time. And these are super fast racing boats, but they calculate it based on the GPS, which is lying about the distances, sailboats, winds, currents. It's hard to figure out your distance. And the average speed that these boats go is like 3 miles an hour, when we know these boats go like 30 miles an hour. Okay. Because they're just doing the math to make it add up to the size that they believe it is. When you're trying to navigate out here, you're off. You do your calculations, but then it's like, wait a minute, you have to readjust, and you're off by dozens and dozens and dozens of miles.
Because the calculation is based on a ball.
Yeah, the calculations based on a ball, for sure.
And that distance would be much greater because it's further out. It's a larger circumference.
Correct.
It's
Correct.
interesting, man. So what about okay, so I wanted to ask you about the firmament. So the firmament, is that an idea that you subscribe to, that there's a glass dome basically over the top of us, or do you think it's just more of a go ahead?
Yeah, so no, that's again, anything above us is off limits. I mean, we're going to have to speculate, but there's so many stories coming from Antarctica about sky ice that they work on down there, and that in the Encyclopedia Americana from 1958 in the Antarctic section, it said at 85 degrees south, there's a domed ceiling at 13,000 feet. It says it right in it, but that all got changed. Encyclopedia Britannica took over that. And there's Operation Operation High Jump, Operation Fishbowl, where they were blowing bombs up, trying to blow a hole in the firmament. And if you watch any of the videos, if you can still find them, it's hitting something. It's hitting something domed. And then if you look at light patterns and the way the sun works, it only makes sense with the dome, because in January, when the sun is out over the Tropic of Cancer, the light kind of wraps all the way around. You see how it's kind of wrapping on the outside of that dark spot, right? It kind of wraps around. So we did an experiment where we had a glass dome and we brought a light inside of it to one side, and the light wraps around. And it matches time and date. Here's the thing. Globers use this. This is not time and date. How do you explain this? Well, if the Earth was a ball, I don't care what tilt it is, what angle it is. It doesn't matter, because it's a ball. So there's always a direct line from the sun. So the sun should light up. It should light up half of the Earth, right? The sun, if this was the Earth, the sun, no matter where it's tilted, there's always a straight line. It should light up exactly half of the Earth. And that's not what we see. We see different amounts of the Earth lit up at different times of the year.
And the sun changing size was an interesting one too. As it gets basically closer overhead or further away, it gets smaller.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things when you see this, the way you see the sun. There's sometimes, depending on the weather conditions and the location and the time of year, the sun will shrink to a tiny little dot, and then it'll disappear. I showed you the sun fade out. If we look at there's a sunset. Well, where's the other one? Where do my sunsets go? They always move around in here. Here's one. This is clearly the sun is just going away. It's just moving away, and it this is a lot of glare. So you really don't. I'm not a big fan of the size of the sun, because the Globers will say, "We'll use a solar filter." You put a solar filter on, you can see the disk of the sun pretty well, but when it gets right down near the horizon, when it's just going away, it disappears. You can't even see it, right? The sun fade out video, at the time the sun was fading out, if or even close to that time where it was sitting and not going down, a solar filter would block that and sun out completely, 100%.
In that video, I just wanted to point out that whenever you describe it as going away, that's exactly what it looks like. It just looks like it's floating off.
It's going away, but a lot of times with where we are with land features, with humidity over the water, it looks like the sun is going down, and I'll show you that in a second. I just want to find that other video. This is another one where the sun is clearly going away. Now it's getting dimmer because it's getting farther away, therefore it's looking smaller. There's less glare. Last time I'm going to look for it here, and then we're going to skip it. I actually played it a little while ago, and now it's gone. Isn't that funny?
Because we're just rotating, right? The idea that it changes sizes, it doesn't really hold water, because it should be the same damn size, because it's how big, in 93 million miles away.
Well, that also, when you're looking across the land, you're looking through tons of air and moisture, so that's going to magnify things, right? When you're looking up, you're looking through less, so it could get bigger as it goes away, right? But this is in the high plains of Africa, super dry, super clear, and the sun just going away until it just gets so far away and it kind of gets eclipsed by the atmospheric deck of opacity, which I call it. And again, the magnification of the atmosphere is very, very interesting. If I could find another video, where is it? As the sun goes away, it's getting smaller, but it's also being magnified on certain, on certain weather conditions where it's getting bigger as it's going away. So it kind of like balances it out. But on different days at different times, it'll look different sizes. Here we go. So this is a magnification lens that's imitating the atmosphere, and this is a candle that we're just sliding across a flat table, and it's rising. This is not the edge of the table. This is the table. I'll show you what it looks like right here. So here's this, here it is, and we're just dragging the sun away. The camera's looking through the atmosphere, and it looks like it's gonna just set, even though it's still above the table. Now imagine you added atmosphere in there that's gonna block it over distance too. I call it the atmospheric deck of opacity. At 6 feet tall, I'm standing here, and let's say 50 miles away, the air just is so opaque I can't see through it. If I was 100 feet in the air, I would say maybe it's 55 miles away. If I was 200 feet, maybe it's 60 miles away. So that builds an atmospheric deck of opacity. And so if you have the deck of opacity and the sun is just going away, it sets. But perspective makes you see that deck of opacity, just like the clouds. It levels it out. It all goes down to the horizon. So you see the sun go like this. And it just goes away. The sun just goes down, 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 and away. And I'll show you exactly how that happens. This is my flat Earth kitchen counter. It's just like the flat Earth. It's flat. You seen this?
Oh yeah. I've looked it up, man. Yeah.
All right. So I'm moving the sun across this flat line, and I'm just showing you that it never goes below anything. These are mountains or atmospheric deck, whatever you want to call it. And I'm just moving away. Now I got another camera on the other side of the table here from the terrestrial point of view instead of a celestial point of view that we have now. And it looks like the sun is going down. This line is level, as I just showed you, and it gets eclipsed by this, whatever it is. I don't care if it's 5,000 feet in the air or 100 feet in the air. It's eclipsing the sun due to perspective, but it looks like it's at eye level. It looks like the horizon in the distance. And when I compare it to an actual sunset, you can't tell the difference. It's the exact same thing. Here's a sunset. You think this is the horizon, but the atmospheric deck of opacity is right here, and the sun is going. But from a viewer on the beach, you can't see this space right here. The sun looks like it's touching the water because this space is so small, your eye can't see it. So it looks like it's already touching the water, but it's not. It's just going beyond.
So fantastic example. And guys, again, check him out. All the ways to find him will be linked in show notes, as well as go to the YouTube. He's done such a wonderful job with this presentation here that you guys, for the audio only audience, is missing out on all of this grand visuals that you've got here, man. It's really, really cool. So let me take you back to the firmament for a minute, because this is a tricky one, right? Conceptually, just to kind of wrap your mind around. So let's say that we do have a glass dome. So it'd be basically dome size. So it's taller, I don't know, in the middle, basically. And then it gets shorter or closer to meeting the ground as it goes above. So it's like a lid that's over us. So
like
how does that like a cake topper? That's a perfect example. Absolutely. So how does it compare to if there's more land masses and extra suns and we're able to access that stuff out there? Does that mean that the dome goes really, really, really far, or that people have figured out either how to dig under it or something?
Well, first, is it an energetic dome? Is it a physical dome? I kind of think it's a physical dome. A lot of flat earthers will say, well, you can't have high pressure next to no pressure, a vacuum of space without a physical dome. Well, I don't believe space is a vacuum. And people say, well, we believe space is water. Well, you can have a bubble on the bottom of a pan that's about to boil, a pot of water, and it's holding up the waters above without a physical barrier. I personally think there is a physical barrier. So with all that said, what is that? So what is a dome? Is it possible there's domes on tops of domes on tops of domes, and then beyond there is another pond with other domes? Or is this the only place on the earth plane? Or is this a pimple on the earth plane, right? The tiniest little spot where there's a quadrillion other ponds out there. Or maybe this is just the one creation. Okay.
One of my favorites is the billion other pawns thing, right? And maybe that this is what afterlives are. And I want to get into some other things with you here in a minute, but you've got a great visual representation of this because one of the big questions is what the hell's going on with the planets and the moon and stuff. Because I can tell you, just as a guy out here with just a shitty telescope, I could see Saturn, man. I can look out, I can see it. I could see
I
the
could see
rings
it
around it.
too.
I could see Jupiter. I could see, the moons around it. They
What are you
look
seeing?
cool.
Are you seeing the actual planet, or are you seeing light as bright as a friggin' star?
So here's the thing, right? Because I don't have a fantastic telescope, but I'm seeing the actual planet. Like you can see the actual planet. It's not one of the diffused light looking things where it's twinkling. This is the actual damn planet with my own eyes that I'm seeing. So that's one of the big ones, right? I
Well,
mean, not from NASA images, from my backyard.
yeah, I got it. I'd like if you. I don't know if you don't have a camera hooked up to it, but when you
I
really
don't.
look at planets through a good lenses, you see that they're not terra firma. They're lights, and you have to believe. This is Mars through a P900. It doesn't look like a planet to me, but when you look at it, farther away, it kind of does. But the thing is, you have to believe that this dusty, dirty ball is sending light all the way back to Earth, in ignoring the inverse square law of light, which means every time you double the distance, it's a quarter of the brightness, and it's brighter than any star. Does this look brighter than any star?
Looks
Okay,
like
this
Devin.
looks like a day. It's Devon Island, right?
Yeah.
So again, science. Flat earthers love science. We use science. Globers just make up words. They're like, well, science and physics. I'm like, well, what science and physics? They're like, all of it. I'm like, what? Give me one example. I don't have to give you an example because you won't believe me. You'll say it's fake. That's all globers have. They have nothing, right? That's why I'm offering a Bitcoin to anybody that can come up with one proof of the globe. So, when you look at stars, have you looked at stars through your telescope?
Uh, yes, but those are much less defined. Those are much more blurry, and they look almost like a particle. Like if you're in a pool or something, like a particle floating above you, and you're looking through water. That's
Yeah,
what
they
it
look
looks like.
different. I mean, this is the star Arcturus. This one is my favorite. It's crazy and it's
Um,
easy to film. You can kind of see it with your naked eye. Once you see it, then you look at it and go, "Oh, that's what I'm seeing." But we've
yeah.
been brainwashed into thinking we're seeing these giant burning balls. This is the star Capella. Amazing, full of sacred geometry and color. It's truly amazing. And Sirius kind of looks like it's underwater a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, but these stars are here. They're small. They're close. What are they? I don't know. I think they have to do with the souls of humanity. I think that we're all here having this journey, expanding the mind of God through our soul, taking our soul, like we're having this in this avatar suit with a soul, and we're here in this amusement park. And our job here is not to lose control of our soul and not to break anyone else's free will.
You and I align on this. And I've said it forever. We're individualistic expressions of a god or a source or something like that.
Yeah.
That's one of the theories I subscribe to as well. So we definitely align on that. And these images that you've got here of the stars in the sky, looking like that, it's fascinating, man. And you're right, because whenever you look up at them, they say, "Oh, the planets are fixed. The stars oscillate like that." Well, whenever you're looking at that, so beyond orbs and stuff, so they're just fixed or they're just like a blanket above us, basically just
That,
for
that's a great
visual.
question. I don't even know if they're physical, the things that we're seeing, because we sent balloons up in Arizona on perfectly clear nights with cameras pointing up, high def cameras that could see the stars before it even took off. And you'd think the higher it gets, the brighter and clearer they get. But at by 50, 60,000 feet, there was no stars. They all disappeared. Okay. So don't ask me,
I mean,
man. Again,
yeah.
that's some crazy, crazy stuff going on up there. Um,
So what do you
that
think is below the Earth? Do you think that it is an infinite plane? And like you said, the possibilities are that we are just this one isolated pimple on the plane of Earth, and then there's millions or an infinite number of them, right? With
it's a
maybe
bad
just
case of
different.
acne.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the hemorrhoids of the infinite plane. But
You know what? It would literally, it could be infinite. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But again, when you look at the planets, I mean, they show us this. They tell us this is Jupiter. This is a model,
yeah,
okay? And the clouds never move. 2.5 years apart, these were taken, and the clouds are in the exact same place. They didn't move, right? This is a hurricane bigger than Earth. Okay. Every single dot is exactly the same. And
Oh,
this
and
is a
man,
fluid counter rotating storm system on this ball, gassy ball, and it doesn't change. When we're whizzing by Jupiter so far away from the sun that the sun would be the size of a friggin' star, somehow we get a perfectly lit picture with a desert that kind of looks like Pluto, unless I'm
I
reaching
like
there.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Um, if you look at Saturn, if I can find my picture of Saturn, Saturn is the famous picture of Saturn. They had it, they made it before Photoshop, and they made it really crappy, and they never expected that we were going to take their original picture, put it into Photoshop, and crank up the levels, and we could see all the layers that they put in.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at Saturn, you see this lit ball, looks like a ball, and this thing that we're told is a ring. It looks like a ring, but the ring and the ball are equally lit. They're both lit like they're both a light, like they're both
Yeah.
fluorescent lights, like the light
Yeah.
is coming from within them. Okay. It's not reflecting sunlight. That's ridiculous. So
It's
next
pretty.
time you go look at Saturn and you see this, because you can see Saturn with a pair of good binoculars, decent binoculars, or and a good super zoom camera, you will not see this. You will see I don't know what it is, but there's a lot of significance to Saturn's, Saturday is Saturn day, Sunday is the Sunday, Monday is Moon day.
Right. So let me ask you this though, because we both have mm, we're both skeptical of NASA. Okay, and the reason that we're skeptical of NASA is a lot of reasons, right? And so I do want to preface this by saying one thing though. I've had a gentleman on the show who's a good friend of mine actually. He worked for Boeing and did NASA projects for 40 years. He
Totally
is
legit.
an interesting and totally legit. And here's the thing is I wanted to talk to him about, conspiracy theories and all that good stuff like the moon and the Van Allen radiation belts and all that. Why in that 65 video, the first time somebody was outside the space, a rocket did the helmet turn and it's clearly claymation, right? So it's
Right.
clearly a
Exactly.
lie. And so this is the thing, right? He wouldn't know. And that's the deal,
He
right?
wouldn't know.
Because you
There's people that build satellites, people that build valves and doors and engines, and they send them to they send them to NASA, and they believe that they're going to space. NASA, when they did the Saturn V rocket for the moon landings, they subbed out to 100,000 companies. Why 100,000 companies? Because that way everyone could say, my uncle, my grandfather, my father worked on the Saturn V. You calling him a liar? Right?
mm,
It's literally a jobs program because slaves are best behaved when they have jobs and just enough money to get by. And they don't see the walls of their prison. And now the walls of our prison is the ball because we can't see them. They're invisible. But let's destroy NASA and then we can move on. If you catch NASA faking anti-gravity once in the space station, you can unwind it to we didn't go to the moon. But let's start with China. Do you know that China landed a rover on Mars the other day?
I heard about that. Go ahead.
Did you look at it?
I did not.
I have to say it's better. It's more convincing than their moon rover landing. Okay.
Okay.
Here it is. This is what they showed us.
Oh wow, that exhaust looks so real.
Look at the shadow. Watch.
Yeah.
That's
Come on.
all they showed us. And then they showed us this, and everybody clap or you'll be beheaded.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's it. And this is their entire. That's it. That's all the proof that we have that China just landed on Mars. It's almost as bad as ours. Ours is just a little more lengthy. Where the heck is
What
it?
was filming it on the way down?
Yeah, great question. Nobody asked that question. Nobody asked. They probably sent a little probe there first to film it.
Well, it didn't even bounce. There's no
Did you see
there's
that
no
shadow?
nothing
Where does
being
that shadow come
jettisoned.
from? This
Well, the
is the
shadow's cool, but there's nothing
only.
being jettisoned from the
Yeah, because there's only 1% atmosphere. You have to understand that. So this is what I'm showing
Oh,
you here is the only proof that we landed a rover on Mars with a helicopter the other day. Okay. This is the only proof. This is what they showed us. This is live. They wheeled screens into kids' classrooms to watch this. Okay. I think Cartman and Kyle were laughing when they saw this. They're like, their animation sucks. Okay.
yeah.
This is the only proof that and people believe this, right? I gotta let it play. Let it play. This is what they showed us. This is now. Let me ask a question. They never mentioned that it's a cartoon. You know,
Yeah, it's
some people are like,
clearly
well, it's a cartoon. They couldn't show us in real time. Like, and this is what they're all watching. Did they have another one if in case it crashed? Did they have a cartoon in case the data came back that it crashed? Look at this. This is the only proof that we have that we landed a rover on Mars, right?
But
And
what
then,
was filmed?
so the rover had a wait. By the way, see this parachute. The atmosphere on Mars is 1% of the Earth. That's like at 150,000 feet here. When a skydiver jumps from extra high, like 80,000 feet, his parachute won't even open until like 50,000 feet. The air is just too thin.
Density,
Okay.
yeah.
How does and we can't fly helicopters to the top of Everest, right? But how does the helicopter that, there was a helicopter on this thing. Wait a minute. Get ready. It's exciting. They're going to land. And they got the little the landing square too, to show that they landed in the right place. And everybody, here comes the ultimate proof right here, because the high fives give it away. I mean, there's no way anybody could fake this. Here we go. Yes. We landed
And
on
even all
Mars.
those people, man, they could think what they're doing is legit because they're getting
Some of
readouts.
them,
Yeah. Yeah, of course they're if it was a big conspiracy.
If
I'm playing devil's advocate here, then of course, some of those people wouldn't be privy to that information. They would be sitting there watching that CGI, just reading instruments, and that's their job. All right, John, your job is to look at that altimeter and just make sure that it doesn't go tits up on us here. And then you watch our distance counter and our speed and all that stuff, which I mean, all that's fakeable, right? It's just a data.
What are we looking at here?
That's that helicopter on Mars.
That's the helicopter on Mars, but that's actually not the helicopter. It's the helicopter filming down of its shadow. Now, because the atmosphere is so thin, they say that the rotor spins 4 times faster than any rotor on Earth. How did it get a picture of the blades?
Yeah.
This is impossible. I'm going to take my drone outside that has much slower spinning blades at noon one day and take a picture of its shadow. You won't even see the shadow.
Well, and then what you do is so I bet what their excuse is for this, or their explanation would be kind of like how helicopter blades or birds' wings will flap or rotate at the same frame rate as the camera. So I think
4 times the speed. No one has that frame rate. That's
what I'm saying, right? That's how they prove it. And then that's just shitty frame rate if that's your resolution, right?
Right. This is another fraud. Now they've privatized NASA to SpaceX. Have you seen this?
Mm-hmm.
This is the launch of the green silo, I call it. This is a helium balloon. This is a combination of animation of a helium balloon going up, right? This thing weighs 40,000 pounds. Now, notice how many cuts? There's like 5 cuts already. Now, we're filming this thing. Look at this, kind of like a side angle. Now, look at this. Look how high we are. How do they have a side angle shot? Watch. Next shot. How do you have a side angle shot unless you're 50 miles away, right? And now this thing is falling. This is like 40,000 pounds, maybe more. And this is falling out of the sky. Now you can see how fast it's moving by the smoke that's coming off of it. It's not even moving.
No.
Right?
Like a dirigible or like a balloon.
It's like a dirigible, right? And look how high it is here. But somehow they can get a side view of it here. Okay? Now look, this thing's falling. Now watch. A little fire is going to come out of it. Where this is live. This is live footage. Okay. Now a little fire is going to come out. It's going to turn it upright. And again, you can see how fast it's falling. It's not falling fast at all. Who's under here filming it? Right? One of the engines goes out. 2 of the engines go out. And it's going to land perfectly. What is all of that dust? Anybody that believes this has lost their mind.
That's interesting. And one of the ones though about the Falcon 9 rocket, when it flew up and it shows a down shot, and the Earth is of course big and round in the back there, and it shows a down shot of the engine, and a little rat runs across the top of it. It's happened twice. Have you seen that?
Well, no. Here's the thing. That could have been done on purpose, but maybe it was a rat because that thing wasn't in space. And so everyone since then, they've always had another little less defined rat, and they're saying that it's frozen oxygen. So maybe they got caught. Maybe something happened, by accident, and now they're just covering their asses each time. But like, oh, it's just frozen oxygen that's coming off of the engine.
But that was a
It's just
clear rat.
nonsense.
Like it was shot in a studio, right?
It was
But
shot in
that
a
was a
studio
clear.
for sure.
It was a damn rat. It had ears. It had a tail. It scurried across and scurried back while
Yeah,
hurling through space. And with
I'm with
that,
you.
man,
I'm with you
with
again.
the green screen, and
So this, I call this the Tupac rocket. Okay, because it's a hologram. It's not real.
huh?
Right? We found projectors on NASA's lawn in photos that we got the serial number of the names off of them. We looked it up from a holographic projection company. This is a hologram. Okay, but something goes wrong with the hologram. Watch right here.
What in the Project Bluebeam is going on,
Yeah.
dude? Come on.
Now the Globers will say,
Digital
"Oh,
glitch.
compression. The something happened with the camera.
Not for half of it,
Yeah. This is a
dude.
failed projection.
You guys go check this out on YouTube, man. He's done a great job with all this.
Right. So
Incredibly
let's go up to
compelling.
the International Fake Station. They got some
Mhm.
fresh fruit that came up on the Soyuz, and when they went to grab it, they miscalculated where it was. It's a augmented reality. It's not real. They're maneuvering objects like they're really there, but they're not really there.
Hmm. Man, and I've seen some fuckery on this as far as the CGI goes. The back screen, of course, when George Bush was wheeled in, and then it showed, the gigantic guy in front of the green screen, which
Yep.
then shot that exact shot later. And then them grabbing each other's wires, and they only spin this way. The hair is all jacked up. Even our
Right.
NASA guy will tell us.
So this balloon is really a balloon. It has helium in it, so it floats. This is not real. It just was beamed in. Okay.
Yeah.
Watch right up here. There's no stuffed animal. And now they beamed it in, even with a little Star Trek beam thing and a beaming noise, and nobody says anything. And kids just eat this up because she's like doing a presentation to kids. So it's called augmented reality, and they're moving things around that aren't really there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I mean, we have that technology released to the private sector. So of course, what they would have would be better, right? In theory,
of course, they get supposedly they get $65 million a day. I don't believe that. They just take $65 million from us, but they have unlimited budget to do whatever they want. And you know what? They suck. They're horrible at it. They're horrible. I'm better at it, actually.
Again, I've got a good friend, man, who worked his ass off on this stuff, and it just pisses me off that he's been lied to like that. Which again, it's not his fault.
That's the hard thing. It's easy to lie to somebody. It's harder to convince them they've been lied to. Right? Look,
that is true.
I'm in the space station. It's that easy. Okay. Right? These guys are horrible. Horrible. Now, check this out. Look at these guys. First, how come they always have these heavy utility belts on? Are their pants going to fall down in zero gravity? You can see they got like layers on underneath them. They always have freshly pressed shirts and pants. Where are they getting all of these?
No wrinkles.
No, right? And all of their movements are based around they're pivoting from their waist. They're hanging from their waist. It's so clear that they're hanging from wires. It's pathetic.
They did the flip and it broke, and he just like stood up.
Yeah. There's many of those
these rabbit holes, man, about the green screens and the screw ups on this, and it is fascinating. I sent my friend a bunch of them, and he was just like, "Oh, damn."
Yeah, they have a system. This is called the Argo system, where they practice for their spacewalks. Kind of looks just like their spacewalks, if you ask me. Okay, they're hanging from these wires. This system, and you look at the space station. Every single thing about it is impossible. It's completely impossible. Sometimes they're hanging from wires. Sometimes they're on a zero G plane. Sometimes they're
flights.
Right. This guy's hanging from a wire right there. You can see it coming up out of his shirt. It's pretty incredible.
And they always spin that way. They never spin
always
sideways.
Pivoting from this is the guy that falls right here.
Yes.
Bam.
Douche.
Yeah.
Then he just stands up. He's like, I'm all right.
And look, why are you pivoting like that? If I was on the space station, I went like this, I just go flying and twisting off into space. I wouldn't rotate around a pivot point.
It's so fake, man. And this is the thing, right? This is the fuckery that I talk about, because if if it is what they say it is, it should not be hard to do this. And I mean, even if this is
How
what bugs me
how
about it,
about
man. This
this?
is why you say
Space station, right?
yeah.
It looks like the space station, but where's the land? And a glober would say, well, they're over the ocean. I'm like, no, we had zero budget. We got a solar panel. We spun it over the camera and we filmed upside down. Okay. It's the same
Damn,
thing.
dude.
It's just in someone's front yard with the camera upside down. It's that easy to fool people.
Oh, and I've
So
seen this, the balloon, right?
yeah. So this is the external tank of the space shuttle. It's 40. I think this is 40,000 pounds empty and it's falling out of the sky. Does that look like it's falling out of the sky? Right?
Mm.
Moving sideways. Now, some people say, well, it's moving 17,000 miles an hour. No, it's not moving 17,000 miles an hour. It wouldn't be able to. It's, it's clearly in the atmosphere. It's going to burn up and disintegrate before it hits the ground. See that piece of paper that just floated by? Okay. Yeah. This shows you that it's just floating in the air current and somebody in a helicopter is filming it.
Dude.
The space shuttle was a blimp. No one ever was on the space shuttle. You could see it was heavy winds and it was bouncing around like a bouncy house. Okay. That thing weighs 4 million pounds. Do you think a little wind is going to make it bounce around like that? This thing is a giant helium tank. Now, these external boosters had some fireworks that come out of the bottom just to give it a little thrust, but the helium did all of the lifting.
And then they just let it go. They released it like you do a balloon.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. And that's why it always turns over upside down, because the external helium tank is lighter. And that's why it flips over, because it's the lightest part.
Damn. I mean, it's just so compelling. It's so interesting. And of course, if they fake one little bitty bit of it, why the hell would you,
And
why would you
here,
fake
watch the illusion here. We're nice and close. Now they're going to show some people. These people are over 11 miles away. The space shuttle is literally the size of a tiny. These people are nowhere near that thing. But with the editing, they make it look like they're right there, but they're not. Okay. These astronauts are also probably in another place completely, in a studio, because they're not there either. And these people are nowhere near this thing. Right? It's beyond a tree line beyond them. It's so far away. And this thing has superheated thrust coming out at, 20,000 miles an hour. Everything here would be obliterated. This fence, when a tornado at 300 miles an hour would turn this fence into a pretzel. Okay. This thing is shooting superheated at 20,000 miles an hour, supposedly, because the thing goes, 25,000 miles an hour. The thrust, it would be incomprehensible. This is all smoke coming out of the ground to obscure what you're seeing. These are mostly lights inside of this smoke plume that's coming out of here. Okay.
Well,
and
NASA
it's going up.
That'll make clouds.
Yeah.
They've shown that.
They showed that, but that's, I mean, again, that's
how they can make that cloud.
Right. And then if you watch if you just look up space shuttle launch, you'll find this video with the sound. And when these things come off, you hear the second they come off, you hear the charges release them. Well, this thing was 30 miles downrange. If it was only 20 miles downrange, that sound wouldn't reach you for 90 seconds after you saw it, just like thunder and lightning. That right there, you hear it as it happens. It would take 90 seconds for that sound to get all the way back to you, if it even got back to you. But in the video, it's in there for effect to make you believe, right? This thing's going over 17,000 miles an hour. How's that thing going sideways over 17,000 miles an hour? You can see how fast this is going by the speed of the wind. Like, look at the smoke. I mean, maybe this is going, I don't know, 60 miles an hour, 50. It's people are just brainwashed into believing anything, right? Do you believe Tesla? I mean, Elon Musk sent his Tesla into space.
It's always looked fake to me, man. I want to believe this stuff, man, because it's so cool. That's the booster I was talking about.
Yeah. So this is as it's going by the Earth here. If they took this picture right about, let's see when the Earth gets in the frame here, right about now, boom, boom. Wouldn't that make a nice poster in a Tesla showroom?
It would.
It's nowhere. It's in no Tesla showroom. It's on no Tesla advertising. It's on no magazine covers. There's nowhere. They didn't print this anywhere because it looks so horrible that they just wanted to make it go away. And it's really hard to even find this anymore. But Elon Musk at the press conference, it goes, well, you can tell it's real because it looks so fake. We'd have better CGI. Quote.
Yep.
Quote.
Yeah, and this is the thing, right? I mean, we're at about the agreed upon time here, man. So, but I just wanted to wrap up with this. So here's the deal, and guys, go look at this video number one, and go check out David because he's fascinating. You do a great job, man. And this is the thing, right? When you say I want to believe the heliocentric model, and I want to believe we haven't been lied to, and I want to believe, that we're some small little tiny speck of dust, and I understand the difference, and we don't have to break down the psychology here about how, well, if you believe that we're a small little speck on a tiny little backwoods arm of a shitty galaxy, then makes you feel pretty insignificant. It doesn't make you feel very special or worthy, or it doesn't give you the impression or lead to the idea that there's some higher power out there that's got your best intention at heart, or that you're a part of something wonderful like that. Now, the other thing about that is the flat Earth model, or the infinite plane with dome, or however you want to say it, is it's a pretty specific. It says you're here on purpose. You've got something to do here. You've got a job, or it's a ride, but it's made tailored for you for this experience.
On top of that, they don't want you knowing your true power. They don't want you to know that you're at the center of creation. They don't want you to know that your thoughts create your world. You and everyone listening, everything you have in your life is your own fault. It's the way you think. It's everything that you've done. If you think that you're in poverty, you're going to be in poverty. If you think that you're going to succeed and you truly believe it, the universe will deliver. Okay. This place is magical. And basically, you're here for an experience and you're having that experience. You may not think like, oh, I wish that wouldn't happen. But, all of the stuff I went through in my life, thank God it all happened. At times I was like, oh man, this is such a pain in the neck. But it all works out if you allow it. You are your worst enemy. Fear is your only thing that causes issues. Fear is the only thing. The only thing to fear is fear itself. That's what Roosevelt said. If you can believe any of our history. So again, they don't want us to know that if we all woke up tomorrow and said, we're done, we're not going to listen to anything the government says, we're not going to do anything they say whatsoever, there's nothing they can do about it, because the only control they have of us is in our own heads. Right. So people have been brainwashed. They live in fear. They have us spinning out of control, lost in space, where an asteroid could take us out. Nuclear bombs are going to take us out, terrorists, running out of water, running out of food. All of that is nonsense. It's all garbage to control your mind. So they don't want you to know that you don't have to give your power away, but they get us to give it away. They're not allowed to take it. That's the other thing, because they're not allowed to break our free will. But they convince us to give it away.
Kind of like a vampire. You got to invite them in, right?
Yeah, it really is like that. Truth in the movies, lies in the news. So again, the reason I left my own very successful company to do this is because if we ever get our freedom back, how long will we keep it? When there's people in charge that know the truth of this place and know the power of this world.
It's a damn good point. You're right on board here with the manifestation and creating your reality. We're big proponents of that here. We talk about a lot of that: spirituality, manifestation, all of that, man. So you really wrapped it up nicely here with that concept. So like I said, guys, I will be linking everything in the show notes. Please go check out this video. He did a great job on this. David, man, you were fantastic. Is there any final words or anything that you had for us?
No, that's it. You can check me out at the Flat Earth Podcast. We haven't done a lot of episodes, but if you haven't seen them, they're still all relevant, starting from the first one. theflatearthpodcast.com, the Flat Earth Podcast Facebook page. My YouTube is Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. It's just the initials for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, DITRH. And my app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. If you're watching this, you can just point your camera at this QR code, or just go to the Flat Earth Podcast and you can find all the links there. They're already trying to hide it in the Google Play Store. They have another one by the same name, by the Flat Earth Society type people. Mine is by Blue Water Bay. Just make sure the icon looks like this. But just go to the flatearthpodcast.com. The link is there. It's $3, and that's it. You own it forever, unlike a beer or a cup of coffee, which you don't own very long at all, and it probably costs more than $3. There is a pop-up that says, would you like to donate for 99 cents a month or $11 a year? You can exit out immediately. There's no ads. It only shows up once a day, and you still get everything. So it's only because so many people love the app and they wanted me to keep adding more stuff. They said, can you put a donation button? but I can't. But they don't let you put a donation button, so I put a subscribe button that gets you nothing other than one pop up for 1 second a day. It's not like a pop up. You got to watch an ad. None of that. The other thing I want to say is the trolls follow me everywhere. I have full-time trolls. They're going to show up in your chat. They're going to comment on everyone's post. They're going to say I'm a scammer. They're going to say flat earth is dead. They're going to say all this stuff, but they're never going to offer one proof of the globe. All I need is one proof of the globe, and I will I will pack up and be done with this. And then if you go to their channels are what I call the comprehensive globe proof channels, because they have zero content. So
okay. Like, isn't there a Professor David, right?
There's I call him not Professor Dave, but he won't show up. There's just these YouTube trolls. Those guys will just do hit piece after hit piece on us, straw manning us and gaslighting us, but they'll never talk to us directly. They pretend that they want to talk to us, but then they'll never talk to us. They'll say, well, we'll do a recorded, I'll send you questions and you answer them, and then I'll make a video. No, I want to have a conversation just like you and I are having this conversation.
Absolutely. And I apologize for disappointing you, because I remember on the phone when we had spoken before, you said, well, what do you think? And I just said, man, I'm open. And you were like, damn it, I like to talk to people who are complete globers. And
when someone says they're open, or I say, what do you believe, flat or globe? They go, well, you're flat. As soon as you don't say globe, you're a flat earther. You just don't know it yet. Some people are at different levels of knowing
That's fair. That's completely fair. Well,
if you hem and haw at the globe for a split second, you're already toast.
Yep, seeded doubt, right? That's it. But like I said, your observations and the things that I've already been looking into with NASA, even though I've got a friend that worked there for a really long time, it's all of this stuff, and it's that you put your faith into people that have lied to you forever. And so then I have gotten the comments as well. They're like, oh, well, NASA, the government's full of shit, but it's, NASA's not. And I go type in NASA, and it's nasa.gov. I'm like, okay, what else? And so it's an interesting point that people make. But like I said, man, I can't thank you enough for your time. This was amazing. I've really been looking forward to doing a Flat Earth show, and I'm glad I didn't just get some wahoo. I'm grateful that it was you, man.
All right, man. Thanks for having me. And don't believe anything I say. Go verify it yourself. Get the app. Check out the daily videos. Read the reviews. If you're unsure, I don't pay for apps. Read the reviews. Everyone says they'd pay more for the app, best app, only app, whatever. It's the highest rated app in the App Store and the Google Play Store. You need an iPhone 6 or better, an iPad, a decent iPad, or an Android with 8.0 operating system or higher.
Got it. Very cool. Well, thank you so much, dude. And I'll be linking the ways to find you in the show notes as well. But guys, go check him out. This is fascinating. And again, like he said, do your own research, make up your own mind. David, thank you so much, man. This is a pleasure.
All right, man. Thanks. See you.
The Flat Earth Sun and Moon Clock App. A dynamic new app to teach family and friends about where they actually live. The sky is a perfect clock. The sun measures the hours and days. The moon measures the weeks and months. The star constellations measure the seasons and years. 12/12 or 24-hour clock face, or go hands-free. The Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock App with new added features. World Time. See what time it is all around the flat Earth. A true Earth compass that shows true navigation across and around the flat Earth plane. Weather. Tap for detailed local weather information. Know what phase and where the moon is at all times. Watch the sun travel between the tropics for the seasons. Select an amazing background. Add your own or have the app change it to a new one automatically every time you use the app. Add a countdown to your next big date. Learn the truth about our world with the featured video of the day. Web button for additional flat Earth related features, from the mythical curve calculator all the way to Tartaria. While talking to friends, easily pull up pictures that expose the globe lie and shine light on the flat Earth truth. Video playlists in different languages. See the real trade winds circling the flat Earth, and clean screen features. Simply click off the items you don't wish to see. The Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app is the best tool to show your friends and strangers how our flat Earth actually works.